Welcome to Leading with Light, a wellspring for the transformational leader that you were born to be, where you can fill up and align, gather and be inspired, and bring your vision to light. Guiding you towards your divine connection and limitless possibilities, here is your host, visionary leader extraordinaire, Sky Ahern. Poof.
Hello, transformational leaders. Welcome to this Love and Light Fest, your sweet spot for stepping up and getting your shine on. I'm your host, Sky Ahern, and you are listening to Leading with Light. Today's guest is HeatherAsh Amara. HeatherAsh Amara is the author of the bestselling Warrior Goddess Training, The Warrior Goddess Way, and Awaken Your Inner Fire. She is dedicated to inspiring depth, creativity, and joy by sharing the most potent tools from a variety of world traditions. HeatherAsh studied and taught extensively with Don Miguel Ruiz, author of The Four Agreements, and continues to teach with the Ruiz family. Raised in the Southeast Asia, HeatherAsh has traveled the world from childhood and is continually inspired by the diversity and beauty of human experience. She brings this and is continually inspired by the diversity of the beauty of human expression and experience. She brings this open-hearted and inclusive worldview to her writings and teachings, which are a rich blend of Toltec wisdom, European shamanism, Buddhism, and Native American ceremony. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Thanks so much, Sky. So great to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you. Heather, would you like to start off and join me in a prayer before we begin our interview?
Yeah, we'd love to.
Yay. So let's center ourselves in our hearts and take a big, deep breath in, breathing up the energy of creation all the way up into our bodies, that sparkly white light, energy of highest vibration, unconditional love that makes all things. And breathing that energy up through every cell of your body, up to the crown of your head. Imagine coming up out of your space in a beautiful ball of light, coming up past the clouds and the trees and the stars and the planets and the universe and the multiverse and these dark lights and white lights, and through this thick jelly-like substance, the laws of the universe, into that pink cotton candy-like energy, the law of compassion. And deep in that energy, you're just going to see this white iridescent sparkly light, this window of white iridescent sparkly light, and you're just going to step in it, and as soon as you do, it just goes poof. And all around you is this sparkly white iridescent light. If you were to twirl around in it, you could feel it like it's almost like water, but it's not. It's just energy, and it tingles with the possibilities and the infinite possibilities of whatever you choose to create. So see yourself in your beautiful ball of light and reach up out of your bubble, gathering as much energy that you need and bring it down into your bubble, filling up your whole entire body with this energy and just becoming that light. And from here, we're going to say, Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is, thank you for my life. Thank you for the life of HeatherAsh. Thank you for the life of all the listeners. Be with us today as we have this beautiful meeting of the heart and souls, sharing big why, the big joys in our lives. Thank you. It's done, it's done, it's done. Aho.
Beautiful.
Yay. What did that feel like in your little body, Heather?
Happiness.
And what else?
Calm, bright sweetness.
Ooh, I love it. Excellent. So you have had a big couple days just yesterday.
Yes, new book and launching a new program. So really excited about the new book, which is called The 7 Secrets to Happy and Healthy Relationships. Brand new.
Oh, that is sounding so amazing. And we all need a little bit of support in that area. So I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, so true.
So you are such a busy woman traveling around the world all the time. And I know you have a big mission and a big purpose and a big why. And I would so love to hear, what is your big why?
My big why is really helping support people to step up into their power, into their using their voice, reconnecting what I call the little soul with the big soul. So the ego personality part of us that can so easily get scared and freaked out and think it has to run everything, with the big soul essence part of us that is connected to all things.
So we go back into your big why real quick, okay? Tell me more about, what gets you up out of bed in the morning?
I love creating things. So, when I went through college, I spent my time like in class making bracelets and knitting and crafting things. And I found that in my teaching, I have the same love of creation. I love creating programs and books and ways for people to connect and being really creative of what do we need as humans? What are we most yearning for? And what are the ways that we can most readily access the information? Make it really simple, make it really practical, make it very accessible. So that's one of my biggest passions. And I just love everything that I do. I wake up every day like, oh, okay, what's next?
What helps you stay in the love playground and out of the fear playground when you're doing all this stuff?
I am really mindful to watch my energy level and to know that, when you're an entrepreneur, when you love what you do, it's really easy to just work constantly and burn out. And having experienced burnout in the past, I'm now so careful to make sure that I get the sleep that I need, that I am eating really well, just the basics. And that another thing that's really, really helped me is my prayer practice of just every day making sure that I'm connecting, that I'm opening, that I'm reminding myself I'm in service, and that it's a gift to get to do what I do, and that it's fun. So even when there's challenges or struggles, just like what a gift it is to get to do this work.
Oh, I love that so much. It makes me smile so much. Well, hey, I like to pray. Would you like to pray? Would you like to lead us on a little prayer?
Sure, we could definitely do that. I always like to imagine when I pray that I'm someplace really beautiful in nature. So let's just start there. And imagine that you're someplace out in nature, maybe someplace you've been many, many times before, or someplace you've never been. And open your heart to feel your gratitude for this body, for this mind, for this life, for the beauty that surrounds you. And as we open our hearts, we ask that we stay connected with the divine within us and know that we're part of a much greater community of beings that are also doing this work. That there's not competition, that there's only this beauty of people coming together to help each other grow, expand, reconnect. And so imagine as you're in that place in nature that there are many other beings with you that are supporting you, that are cheerleading you, that are looking in your eyes and saying, yes, we see you. Yes, we're so grateful that you're giving your gifts. And know that you are never alone, that you're always connected, and that your wisdom is much needed. And bringing that feeling sense back with you into this place, in this time, so that you feel that sense of nature and support in your body deeply. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
That feels so yummy. Oh, thank you for that, Heather.
I think it's really important for those of us that are in service to constantly remind ourselves that we're not alone, because sometimes, especially if you're at home and you're working on your computer or answering emails, there can be this sense of isolation. And to keep reaching out and knowing that you're held and that you're part of a much bigger team all around the world.
So talk to me a little bit more about, you were mentioning in the beginning, your self-care. And I know that you teach people, you teach especially women, how to practice self-care. What are some of the things that you like to share with the women you teach?
About the importance of making boundaries and getting really clear about what your needs are, learning to really listen to the body. And one of the big things that I teach is the difference between short-term nourishment and long-term nourishment. So in short-term nourishment, we do something to make ourselves feel better immediately. Now, there's nothing wrong with short-term nourishment unless you're doing only short-term nourishment. And if you don't focus on long-term nourishment, looking at the long run, what do I need to be sustainable? Then that's when we burn out. So, simple food example, if you're constantly eating sugar, then at some point it's going to crash your energy. Versus if you go, okay, what does my body actually need to be sustainable over the long term? And really every decision that we make needs to be coming from this idea of, how do I nourish myself in the long term? And think about it as our inner fire. We have this fire, and every action we take can dampen that fire, can leak that fire out, we can diminish that fire. Or every action that we take, we can build that fire, we can brighten that fire, we can have more energy. And most of us haven't learned how to manage and navigate our inner fire. A lot of women especially leak it, give it to other people, think that we have to stay small. And so there's a lot of programming that we have to let go of to come back to being bright and being as full as we can in the world.
So I was just thinking about, on the show, we talk about leading with our light. And when we're giving it all away, or we're having really weak boundaries, or leaking our energy, would you like to talk to that a little bit? How does that work out?
Absolutely.
Because I know that these are your hot topics. So
yes, for sure. When I first started teaching, I would teach for 2 days and I would be sick for 4 days. And I would teach for a week and then I'd be sick for 3 weeks. I mean, it was crazy. And I just thought, well, that's just the way it is. And one day I thought, okay, maybe there's something I can adjust around this. I mean, this was years into teaching. I'm a little slow. And so I started paying attention to what I did with my energy when I was teaching. And I realized when I taught, I gave every scrap of energy away. Like I just gave everything. And I thought I had to give everything. That was the only way to teach properly. And so I made the decision to change and see what would happen. And what ended up happening is I didn't give every bit of energy away. I started really monitoring my energy and paying attention to that. And what I found is the teaching actually became more effective. And I also became sustainable. I stopped getting sick. I have a lot of times after I teach, I still have energy afterwards. I feel excited. I still feel energized. And it brings me energy because now I've learned how to play with the people that I'm working with so that all of us are getting more energy. Instead
How did
of
you do that?
Yeah.
I want to hear that. How did you do that?
Well, I think a part of it is an agreement. It's like we have this agreement that there's one teacher who's at the front of the room and they give everything and everybody else receives. And it's a one way. But when we realize it's actually collaborative, that we're in relationship with these beings that have their own wisdom that we're helping to wake up. And if you just change the belief and the agreement and the energetic pattern that both the audience and the person that's in front are both on a journey together, both learning, both exploring, both gaining energy, then everything starts to shift.
What I was having a conversation with someone about, he does sound in the back of the room for 3-day events. And he was talking about, I was acknowledging how he holds just such impeccable space. And he was talking about sometimes leaders aren't the only ones, they're not just the front of the room.
Yes.
They're at the back of the room. They're in the room. And I think a part of why I want to do the show is that I think that when we tap into ourselves and our connection to the highest vibration of all that is, whatever you want to call that, and we have that connection within ourselves, we get to be leaders. We get to lead with our light. And so if we're on stage and we're teaching a room full of people that are connected to themselves and highest vibration of all that is and one another at the same time, we all get to be leaders. And it gets to be like, as a leader, we're not having to fill everybody up. They're already filled up. We're just attuning, and hopefully in a seriously quick moment, hopefully in a short amount of time, we can all just be attuned and just like vibe high and just have fun and go into celebration and play and fun. And I know that you really do that with your people, whether you're leading women on trips around the world to cool places. Like, I've gone with you to Peru, and we had an amazing group of women where we just played together and everybody flowed in such beautiful harmony and love. It was pretty impressive to me because I've been on a lot of experiences before, and there's not such a flow, but there's a base level of just harmony, of respect and love, and choosing to be together for engagement and support and just love and open-heartedness. And yeah.
Absolutely. And what I found is if you really hold the container and hold the intent of what you're wanting to create, and where you're taking the group, what the journey is, that you can pretty quickly have people step into vulnerability and openness and connection, because we're all yearning for that. We just need permission.
So what are some of the things that you do to establish that when you're either working in a room full of hundreds of people, or in a small group in a different country, in a different land, a different culture far away?
Part of it is I show up authentically as myself, vulnerably, and that I'm not holding the, like I said before, like I'm the leader and I'm going to fix everybody. My feeling is like, we're all on a journey. This is going to be so cool. What are we all going to learn together? And so that really helps the group rest in, I believe. And also I invite people to get clear about why they're there and what their intent is, and to share that with the group. And I often do exercises pretty early on when I have groups to help everybody get vulnerable with each other. Because again, we just need permission. And even if it's scary, to let people know they can do it, they can show up, and that they're going to be held in a safe way. And there's such a sense of relief that people have when they see, oh, we're going in. Okay, this might be scary. And I think it's really important to create guidelines that help people feel safe, and to model, and to engage people in getting clear what they're bringing and what they're wanting. What are they craving? And that then again invites people to really show up in ways they may. I hear this all the time at workshops. They're like, it's day 1. We've been together for 2 hours, and I always love these people more than I've ever loved anybody. And I feel so supported.
I love that.
Because we want that. So to create the container and the space.
So let's break that down a little bit more, because that's so juicy, right? So you said guidelines and what else?
Strong container.
Guidelines, strong container.
And the invitation for people to be vulnerable.
And the invitation for people to be vulnerable. So thinking about the guidelines, are those guidelines for yourself and then setting that for the group? How do you break that down?
It's setting it for the group. So often in workshops especially, we'll talk about what would help us feel safe with each other. And so think really basic things like no judgment, to do our best not to judge, to do our best to be on time, to keep everything confidential, that anything that happens in the workshop stays in the workshop. And those type of guidelines, and I don't just come on and go, okay, these are the guidelines, everybody must follow them. I throw a couple of things out and say, what do you guys think? What do you want to create? And in that way, everybody's creating the container together because everybody shares, ooh, this would help me. This is what would serve me. This is what would make me feel safe. And so it's a collaborative effort.
Just taking that time and just really setting that tone. Mm-hmm. You don't get many people acting out, do you?
No.
I bet you did maybe in the beginning.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And I've learned, that's one of the things about having taught for a long time is you learn all the tricks around how to help people show up fully.
Yeah, so you've been teaching for how long?
About 30 years now.
About 30 years.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun because I know that, you and I, I know, they don't know, the listeners don't know.
That's right.
We went to Davis so we went to University of California at Davis together, and you were teaching all the way back then.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember being in some of your very beginning classes, and we just had a blast.
Yeah, so much fun. Yeah, and that just came out of my desire. I was super shy when I was young, so the thought of teaching was never crossed my mind. But what I was learning, I was so passionate, so excited about what I was learning, I had to share it. And suddenly my shyness went away because I had this just incredible joy of sharing what I was learning. And hasn't changed.
Clearly, it hasn't changed. And that feeling, so can we talk about that? Because this show is for people who are leading with light, who want to become a transformational leader, or just wanting to light up the world with their calling. So what was that feeling inside of in your body, in your heart, that just pulled you to want to teach? Can you remember that? Can you feel that? Can you describe that to us?
Yeah, it was this feeling of coming home in what I was learning. So at the time I was studying European shamanism and learning about the cycles and the elements and honoring night and day and the seasons. And I remember reading it thinking, this is what I've been missing in my life, was this sense of connection to the elements, to nature, to the divine feminine. And to feel that sense of coming home, I then wanted, I had so much oh my God, you have to hear about this. It's so good. And what I learned really quickly is that when I got together with people in groups, that the amount of enthusiasm and excitement helped everyone transform so much more quickly than doing it on a solo path. So really early on, I became a huge proponent of community, because I've really seen more than anything else, what we need is community. A community that sees us, that supports us, that loves us, that'll kick our ass when necessary. And that keeps asking us, who are you? Who do you want to become? And will encourage us to step into our best selves.
We need to take a break to hear from our sponsor, and then we'll get right back, okay?
Hello, beautiful souls. Rare and special event. Like a super rare unicorn sighting, Sky is teaching some of the foundational Theta Healing certification courses online. It is one blazing rainbow of a portal opening up for a life-changing experience, all from the comfort of your own home. If you're interested in joining me, learning from my years of service to this international community, it's time to make your dreams come true and share with you one of the most powerful tools used to bring us into alignment, direct connection to the highest vibration of all that is, to ramp up your manifestation skills, all while creating impeccable discernment and empowering you with a map to the universe and beyond that will serve you the rest of this life and throughout lifetimes to come. If you're ready to step in, this is your time. If you're ready to clear your limiting beliefs and trauma that you haven't been able to get rid of this whole lifetime, pain or suffering, and general overall cosmic crap that you may think has been serving you, and move forward to be the most epic, brilliant, sparkly representation of self on this earth in a human body, this is one of the most potent steps I've discovered over the last almost 2 decades throughout all my travels, hanging out with all these healers all over the world that can help you get that for yourself. Taking these foundational certification courses with me after I've helped write and create these very foundational courses of theta healing that have made it internationally renowned and traveled around the world with the founder Vianna Stibal and her husband Guy is a unique, powerful transmission, a download in itself that you don't want to miss. Plus, I'm effing magical. After all, cell does talk to cell, and light travels faster than the speed of light, and light just is. For more details and how to register for upcoming courses, go to www.skyislimitless.com. Go to the Work with Sky section, and then you'll see all about Theta Healing certification. That's www.skyislimitless.com. Or you can just go to the show notes and click on the link there.
So you were talking about when you were just getting together with groups and community and teaching, the enthusiasm shifted things really quickly. And it's so funny because I think sometimes as humans, sometimes we feel like we have to shift things through pushing and making things hard on ourselves, like not intentionally, but we just like do that. We go into that hardship. And when I work a lot with my clients, we talk about ease and flow and effortlessness and joy and play, enthusiasm and celebration and fun and that energy, and how that is so much a higher energy that when we tap into that and go there, we can shift things so much faster.
Absolutely. And we have in our culture, we have such a paradigm of push and force, and also one of the fundamental agreements most of us have, I think a lot of people don't even realize it, but is I'm broken and I have to fix myself. And once I fix myself, then everything will be fine and be better. So that fundamental flaw in our thinking is what causes us to push and force and make ourselves miserable.
You know, it's so funny as you're saying that, I'm thinking, so I have these farmer genes. Like my ancestors were farmers. They worked all the time. There were like 3 farms 30 miles away and they farmed them with 1 mule. How? I have no idea. And so I have to watch this on a DNA level, like that I push, like, you know, there's always something to do. There's like either seeds to plant, you know, fields to till, waiting for the harvest. And then there's the harvest. And then, you know, there's just this constant next step and this pushing. And if I don't really center and pay attention to that, then it starts happening in my day-to-day life. Like partly I get excited about things and I want to do them so much. And I have to it's my excitement sometimes that
yes.
I get into pushing and so like, oh, I can't wait to do this. It's so fun. And I have to monitor even in that energy, self-care and groundedness and prayer and being cognizant of my energy in the world. And I think it's hardwired is what I'm trying to say. And including that misery, we do a lot of work with people on a genetic level. And there is this group conscious genetic misery energy. And what we found when we've checked in with some people's core beliefs is sometimes they believe they have to be miserable.
Yes. Yeah.
So we love to change that one.
For sure.
I mean, we don't want to hang out and have to be miserable. So it's kind of interesting when we have those, you know, we feel like we're broken or like we have to fix it, to discover where that actually comes from, because maybe our ancestors were broken, or maybe something did happen, or maybe they just needed to feed 10 children, and survival was really hard. So they were pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that just shows up in our day-to-day life, in our own self, and we forget about that, like that programming to help us survive. And it's that opportunity that I believe we have now is to shift that into thriving because we've survived.
Yes, definitely. And just as you're saying, it's so true to be really mindful of the places that our lives are good, we're in abundance, there's grace in our lives, and yet we're still anxious or we're still upset. I really found that I had a center in Berkeley for many years, and I had gotten to a point in my community where I'd written my first book. I was training teachers that were traveling all over the United States to teach. We had a thriving community, like everything I had dreamt that I wanted was manifesting. And I realized I wasn't happy, and my organization was really anxious and dysfunctional, and there was a lot of stuff that hadn't been cleared. And I ended up closing that organization down because I realized, I had a friend reflect to me, you created this organization, so basically your dysfunction is what you're seeing manifest. And at first I was like, no, it's not, and then I realized, oh, it's true. I'm the leader. I created this.
Like attracts like, right? The good, bad, and the ugly. Everything's like a little bit of an opportunity to see, hey,
what's
I created this.
Yeah, exactly. So I closed it down. I went on the road for a year, and that's when I started working on my book that's now called Awaken Your Inner Fire. And it was really an exploration, this whole idea around work.
That's the God's calling.
Hello, gods. To really look at the agreements that I had around work and around pushing and around value. My value is connected to my busyness, is part of what I learned. Unweaving that was a huge one.
Yes, I can totally relate to that. When I was a school teacher, and then suddenly I had some horse accidents and near-death experiences. In my process of just healing, I wasn't going to work every day, and so my identity was just like, what? I'm nothing. I'm not doing anything. I'm nothing. And I really got to break all of that down. I mean, the self-identity was a little bit annihilated.
Yeah. The
self-identity was a little annihilated. And I had to kind of realize that I am not my work.
Yes. It's huge to separate that out.
I am still amazing without having to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was so awesome because my little brain was a little, out of commission. So I just got to be in a place of being.
Yes. And
it was so blissful.
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything because I couldn't really talk or walk or do anything. It was very dangerous around, fire or sharp knives or electricity. And so I just had to be.
Yeah, you became like a little kid again.
Yeah, well, I don't think I've ever not become a little kid. I think I've been a little kid for the whole time you've known me.
That's true. You've always had that joy and that love. And that's what we're all trying to get back to, is that just simple, you are worthy and valuable and lovable just because you are. There's nothing you have to do to prove yourself or to show or to have value. It's inherent in each of us. And I think as leaders, that's crucial that we do our own work to get there. So I've met way too many leaders that stop their own process when they start teaching. Because they're like, well, there's this, I don't think they do it on purpose, obviously, but there's this well, now I'm supposed to be a leader, so I'm supposed to appear a particular way. And we get into this role of what a leader is, and it's really dangerous.
Yeah, talk about this. That we all need to hear this. Just a little great reminder. Share, please.
One of the main things that I teach my facilitators is that when you step into a leadership role, your own inner process is going to get double. It's going to get more intense, which is as it should be. You're going to be invited by Spirit to do deeper work, to go into the depths of your being, to clear out the agreements. And if you're in an old model of leadership, which says I should have it all together, I'm supposed to be perfect, I'm supposed to be the role model that has no problems and no issues, you're going to totally stop your own process, and you're going to be having a negative impact on yourself and the people that you're facilitating, because you're not going to be authentic. There's going to be a split of here's where I actually am and here's where I think I'm supposed to be. And so it's crucial that we stay integrated inside of ourselves. It doesn't mean you have to say to who you're facilitating, oh my God, I'm such a mess. Let me tell you about this horrible thing that happened to me today. But you do have to acknowledge it to yourself. I'm struggling right now. I'm in my own process. And how do I hold myself and give my gifts?
And that sometimes I found in the past that it is a lot better to do that with the help of another person.
Yes.
Like it's kind of essential, right?
It is. And not to rely on your students to be your support system.
Oh,
it's another terrible thing that leaders do.
Ooh, yeah.
But to find people outside of yourself that have known, I mean, it's why I so value my friendship with you and for the people that I knew in Davis, because I have people in my world that have known me for 30 years that know I'm a dork, that know my I mean, I just called my friend Autumn the other day and was like, I need help. And she's like, all right, girlfriend, da-da-da-da, here's what I see. And I'm like, thank you. We need that reflection, that honest reflection. So to make sure as a leader that you have a team around you of people, whether they're your people that have known you for a long time or people that are also teachers or facilitators or leaders in some way, that can help you to stay honest and centered inside of yourself and help you with whatever process is arising. Because I really believe if you're a good leader, you're going to get stirred. There's going to be stuff arising constantly. Not constantly, that's not true. But you get to look at yourself, and that's as it should be. You should be ahead of your students in terms of your own deep work, that you're constantly mindful of what needs to be cleared so you can become a clearer and clearer vessel.
I think it's also important to hone our discernment, right? Yes. Of those people that we reach out with, or, like you were saying, don't turn to your students for support. Yeah, that's really important. It really is not cool. But using that discernment, like when people do want to jump into your life and give you that support, and just checking in where that's coming from a little bit and seeing if it's the right thing for you. As a leader, discernment seems like it's a constant checking in, and there's this fine tuning.
Yes. Yeah, I really agree. Yeah. Discernment, boundaries.
Wow. Well, we can surely, what was that? Pardon me?
And more love.
More and more love. Oh my gosh. Well, we could definitely talk all day, and I have a lot more questions for you, and I hope you would come back because I would like to finish them.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is part 1 to be continued for sure.
Oh, awesome, Heather. It's so weird. I'm just time checking right now. You got 4 minutes, so we should wrap it up, right?
Yeah, it'd be perfect. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So I thank you so much for showing up today. The world is so lucky to have you. And I'm so grateful that there's people out there in the world that are doing amazing things and teaching and supporting women to step into their light and become the leaders that they were born to be. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sky. So great to be here with everybody.
Okay, well, you can learn more about Heather at www.HeatherAshAmara.com. And you can just go to Amazon and check out all of her books. They're just amazing. Thank you so much, love. Have a gorgeous day.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Leading with Light. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review, and be sure to share it with your friends. Tune in every Tuesday for more exciting ways to help you pop into true divine connection and clarity, live in the energy of limitless possibilities, and delight in the love playground. Get your magic on and make this world a happier place. Yo.